The music's playing, your lobes are tingling, so you know what that means. The docking ring is now open.
It is open.
You are joined by me, Brian, who is perhaps a bit more casual viewer of the Deep Space Nine series when it originally aired, and I am getting reintroduced and reacquainted with the characters, the episodes, and gaining depth knowledge with our font of Trek and all things Deep Space Nine.
Alex, and I accept the role of font as purely a ceremonial role. It's a strange word, font. I knew a guy named Fount back when I was a newspaper reporter at a Metro Daily. His name was Fount, was his first name, not Font, but
close enough.
Yeah, and I
short
just
for Fountain, both are, right?
I guess that's so funny that anybody was named Fount.
I don't know. Maybe named after place of conception.
That, or perhaps his parents were big Ayn Rand fans. And maybe it was Fount, the Fountainhead. You know.
Yes.
Anyway, well, welcome, folks, to Audio Hoo-Mons. Always a pleasure to be with you. Couple of things real quick before we get into the episode, my friend. Just wanted to make sure everybody knew, if you're not on the Facebook page, it's facebook.com/Audio Hoo-Mons, we have merch. In particular, we have several designs of T-shirts. We have long sleeve, short sleeve, women's styles, unisex styles, V-neck, crew neck, different kinds of textures. And we've got the really soft tees, which I like. I don't like the scratchy, cheaper tees. We have all of that. We also have some other merch there, iPhone cases, little bags, things like that.
Window sticker,
which I need to order. Dude, I should have ordered some of those for a recent what we left behind thing. I could have handed those out to people. I wonder if I have.
We'll catch it next time.
Yeah,
we'll catch it next time.
But the point being, a design created by our own Brian, right here.
Inspired, but executed by
our buddy Jason, who did a great job with it. But I'm excited. I've got my my blue T-shirt. I love it. It's very comfortable. It's really nice.
And I have Command Red.
Very well done. Yes. I like that. Yeah, either way, it's funny because I would either be red or gold if I were, giving my TOS. But the blue, I just look better in blue. So, that's okay. But listen, there's a link in the show notes. There's a link in the Facebook page and on Twitter. It's all over the place, Hoo-Mons. So get the gear and represent.
Very good. And then another note, obviously, this is airing after
May 13th, when
screening of What We Left Behind. But shortly after this, our next episode, we will actually do a
red alert.
A red alert. So look for that in the coming days. So it may be off schedule instead of our typical Thursday release. It may be a couple days earlier than that, because we will get back together. We'll chat. Hopefully, you all will be involved as well. We'll grab some audio snippets to include as well, and we'll share our thoughts on.
Right. And don't forget, even if you don't run into us at our Chicagoland or Kansas City meetup for the What We Left Behind documentary, if you're watching it as a supporter and you've already seen the screener, you've already streamed it on your device and watched it, or if you go to your own location nearby in your own hometown to watch What We Left Behind, don't forget, you can just whip out your phone and record a memo and email it to audiohoomox@gmail.com. It's really simple. There is a link and information on the show notes for that as well. We want to know what you thought about What We Left Behind. I'm excited. All the clips I keep seeing that I keep posting on the Twitter and Facebook are really
they're fantastic.
The HD really stuff, when I see that on the screen, I don't know. I hope I can hold it together watching some of this stuff. I'm pretty excited.
I'm just hoping there are no spoilers.
Well, it's so funny you said that.
I'm fine with that.
It's so funny.
I know there are, because I saw an interview with Dax. And so anyway, but that's okay. That's okay. It won't hurt the the moment or the series for me. I
thought about that today when I was watching.
Like, damn it!
Yeah, well, I was watching that, and I was watching. There was a clip where they were talking about Odo and Kira, and I was like, oh man, Oh,
Yeah.
but I do recall that you did kind of catch the last few
I've
episodes back in the
yeah,
day.
I've seen parts throughout the series, so I wasn't completely caught
Right.
off
Yeah.
guard. It's and for me the interest is in all the pieces leading up to that, and
Yeah.
to hear him talk about the basically the last half of the last season is all a whatever 11, 12 episode arc. I just greatly look forward to exploring it.
Me too. I'm looking forward to this journey we're on. Here we are,
Yeah,
almost to the middle of the second season,
correct.
both of DS9 and our show, and we're looking forward to it. Last week was Rivals, which we didn't love, and we've been in kind of a valley. And I'm wondering, as we pursue our discussion today about the alternate, if are we getting out of the valley or are we still in the valley? Let's find out. Take it away, Brian.
Yeah, well, I would say, jumping ahead briefly, I would say this is a marked improvement. We'll just say what one data point does not a trend make is what we'd say in my business, but but a marked improvement. So we open up at Quarks, and he's trying to sell bits. Looks like little. I don't know, like a shoe polish cans with bits of his friend Plague in them.
Yeah,
At
could be petri dishes, I guess, but
could be a petri dish
shoe polish. Yeah, that's funny.
yeah, one of those small candles or something like that. But that leads to Odo showing up and expressing a bit of sense of humor that we haven't been exposed to yet. Odo, that dry, wry, dark sense of humor with his comments about a fascination with the species death rituals and him being a being that very difficult for his species to die.
Right.
I don't know that they age, let alone die. Interesting conversation. And before Odo's dad, this scientist, shows up, really one of the things that I found kind of interesting. Want to go off on just a bit of a tangent?
Sure, go. Yeah.
At first, I was angry that this subplot line between Quark and Odo, Plague, who apparently is alive, not dead, ends right there before the opening credits and is never talked about again throughout the episode.
Oh, that's true.
And I'm assuming it just disappears. So at first I'm very angry.
Oh.
But here's a hypothesis that this is a directorial or a writer's element, a tool to show that all we're seeing on Deep Space Nine is just a sliver of what's going on in the Deep Space Nine universe.
Of course.
And so these little flashes are not necessarily important plot points, other than they demonstrate that there is a world going on. There is a universe that is progressing through time, and each character has stuff going on outside of what we see. And so to get that, you're left to your imagination, just like you are in your life. You interact with someone a few times or once, and then you don't know what the rest of the Venn diagram has one connection point and very little overlap, and you're left to just surmise, imagine what the rest of that life is. And so what frustrated me at first led me to think about, maybe it's just a plot device to help you understand that Deep Space Nine isn't just about these interactions that we're seeing. There's stuff going on in between the episodes that we know nothing about. So I found that am I reading too much into it?
Not at all. I don't think so at all. It's an interesting observation. It's interesting that you went through this whole little mini
over a stupid Quark thing.
Yeah, but it's just yeah. Speaking only as I can from my perspective as a writer of other things is, there's world building, right? And
right.
sometimes there's things thrown in there that don't amount to anything, but it's part of the world building,
right?
But I'm not offering a full-throated defense of this because you just sprung this one on me. But it's interesting. Yeah,
interesting. Okay. Anyway, back to the show. So, interrupting Quark and Odo in their discussion of plague is a Dr. Mora, who is the humanoid discoverer of Odo, or one of the scientists that was assigned to him and assisted him going from basically a beaker full of gelatinous goo to the humanoid form we know and love today.
Correct.
Despite his inability to perfect the ears, but anyway, so we're introduced to Dr. Mora, and you could see he is the inspiration for Odo's hairstyle,
his look. It's funny because that's the look, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the Mora.
And then basically the episode, there's a plot element. They go to another planet, discover another similar type being. They bring it back to the station along with a strange obelisk with a googly eye or a breast or something on the top of it. And then things go kind of crazy because on the planet of this being, there's Odo gets gas. They all get gas, and it nearly kills the Bajorans. It hurts the Trill. Dax is with them,
right?
And Odo seems to be unaffected
by the gas.
But yeah, he seems to be fine with gas. And we go through the episode, but that being that they brought back breaks out, so then they're on a hunt for it. Interesting scene. I love O'Brien's kind of self-talk, like, don't tell my wife that I volunteered for this dangerous thing, and then he really talks about that agreement, that unspoken agreement that he and Keiko have of he doesn't really tell her all that goes on, all the dangerous stuff that goes on at work, and she just accepts that he's making the best decision he can given his set of circumstances, and he goes on. I found that to be an interesting conversation.
Me too. O'Brien. Yeah. The O'Brien stuff was pretty good, and then of course he discovers that the life form is turned into some sort of goo.
It had, so because it's apparently it requires a much higher level of carbon dioxide and than humanoids do. So going through all the station, it basically suffocated and died, and then just kind of dripped out all over Miles's hand.
Yeah, he gets all the fun stuff. So then we have this some stuff goes down where we get into a lot of stuff with the backstory with Dr. Mora and Odo, and it's just interesting. You see from the get-go, Odo is not thrilled to see him.
Correct.
In a way, when I remember first seeing this, thinking, "Wow, this is almost like somebody who'd been abused," and right?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
And they're being forced to be around their abuser. It's like maybe a child who'd been abused by a parent, and they find being around that parent painful as they become adults, because and that was one way I saw it.
Yeah, and Dr. Mora, even on the runabout, was he was human-splaining Odo's every conversation that Odo started,
he
and he was trying to tell stories.
But he also had a degree of pride in Odo.
Yes,
and
sure.
love. There's love there.
I think he felt a responsibility, or it took some level of credit for the creation of Odo, but it was also obvious that Odo wanted some credit as well. It's like, you didn't figure it out. I showed you,
right?
And so yeah, but I think the whole story, the storyline really focuses on that relationship, because there's several violent episodes happen throughout, and again, if you watch the episode, go watch it. We'll wait. We find out that when Odo is in his sleeping state, recovery state, he's going off and doing bad things. He's acting out,
right?
Like his subconscious is acting out against Dr. Mora. He turned into this kind of violent, gelatinous glob, broke that other potentially sentient being out to its unfortunate demise. Tried to attack Dr. Mora, and ended up in a confrontation with Dr. Bashir, and then finally was confronted Dr. Mora, but it turned out to be a trap. But through all this, I think Dr. Mora realized, I think he finally started empathizing with Odo, and Odo realized, that he did have those feelings of anger and resentment towards Dr. Mora, his pseudo father.
Yeah, and they basically left it with, let's keep in touch, and maybe we'll see each other again.
Right. Yeah. But not come back to my lab and let me experiment on you.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
And nothing's set. We're gonna Skype every second Sunday or anything like that. It was a little open ended, but giving each other time to heal and maybe be introspective. And then maybe we can still build on the positive parts of the relationship that we had.
Yeah,
which I found refreshing.
I did too. I really found myself just having a good, enjoyable time watching the acting on this one. Renee, as wonderful as usual as Odo. But you saw some really nice moments out of Avery Brooks being a dad to Jack.
Oh, I love the Klingon opera scene. Is hilarious.
When am I ever going to use that? We've all, that's what I used to say about algebra and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But Klingon opera. At the end where Cisco basically admits, well, when's the last time you heard a Klingon opera?
When I was your age.
So
it's a rite of passage. So.
Right, and I like that. I enjoyed seeing that, that, because I'm kind of getting to that point with my kid where she's starting to be like, well, why do I have to do that? I don't want to. And you're torn between wanting to be their buddy or their dad, and I got some strength out of looking at Cisco putting Jake in his place there with that. So that was enjoyable. But I have to just do a shout out to James Sloyan, who came on board. One of my favorite character actors came on board to play A Mora. Mm-hmm. He is not by any means an unnotable actor. You may recall him if you've seen the movie with Robert Redford and Paul Newman, The Sting. Sloyan has a memorable part in that. It's not a huge part, but it's very memorable. It's really good. But also for Trek fans, if you're a fan of a really excellent episode of The Next Generation called The Defector, he was Aladar Jarok, and one of my favorite lines is spoken by him in that one. He plays a Romulan defector. He's in sickbay getting his wounds tended to. Worf walks in, and of course Romulans and Klingons have no love. Mm-hmm. And so Jarok, he says, remove this Toza from my sight. And of course, then we got Riker going, your knowledge of Klingon curses is impressive. But as a Romulan might say, only of a rule would use such language in public. Of a rule. It's the way he delivers. It's the way he delivers the line. I could go grab. I don't know if I'm going to grab. I probably won't go grab the clip, but go look up that effector. But he's really good in that one. In fact, he's good as Dr. Mora Paul in this. And this is not the only time we're going to see Dr. Mora, by the way. But he to me, he was every bit as good, or almost as good, in the Defector TNG episode as was Harris Yulin in the Duet episode of DS9. That's my opinion on that.
Great. Well, and to your point on Renee, this had an extreme amount of special effect activity,
right?
And a lot of extra makeup, because he was morphing in several of the scenes.
Melting,
Yet was able to deliver. I know that can be distracting. Sometimes I've seen that. And he did I think a masterful job of staying in character, delivering the emotion without allowing the makeup to rule the scene. It was